What's up, everyone? This is Sahil here, and welcome to the Sahil Sehgal Show, where I'm gonna be interviewing some crazy entrepreneurs out there who started from scratch with no experience, resources, and connections, and then later on became unstoppable and dominating figures in their respective businesses. We're gonna dive deep into the mindset of these super successful entrepreneurs to find out how they did it and how you can model it too. It's time to pick their brains and uncover all the strategies and tactics which these entrepreneurs use to scale their businesses from nowhere to multiple 6, 7, and 8 figures. Welcome to the Sahil Sehgal Show. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Sahil Sehgal Show, where we interview some unstoppable entrepreneurs who are dominating figures in their businesses. And Sahil here, back again with an awesome, insane guest this time. And guess what? Who we have today on our show? The Marley Jaxx. Let me give you a little bit introduction about her. She's an FHL speaker. She's one-stop shop when it comes to how to monetize content using the power of video marketing and YouTube. She's one of the top video branding leader. She has her own event called Content Machine Live, where she had speakers like Alex Sharfan, Christy Code Red, Steve Larson, and one of our most favorite one, the Russell Brunson. She has worked with some legendary people out there and literally an inspiration for younger generation like us. We're going to be talking about her crazy journey from being a dental hygienist to the main stage at Funnel Hacking Live. Welcome, Marley, to the show. It's a pleasure and honor to have you.
Hello. Thanks for having me here.
You're welcome. It's literally a pleasure for us to have you. So, Marley, talking about your journey, first of all, it is really a unique one. Like from me being a dental hygienist to the world class renowned entrepreneur, how did it all start and what made you go down this path?
I was a dental hygienist before this, and I guess it's kind of funny to say that because like, why? What's the jump from dental hygiene to entrepreneurship, video marketing, YouTube? Um, Before dental, I did a little bit of work in radio and event management. I even did a little stint as a paparazzi assistant. Like I just always loved entertainment and media and yeah, just that whole world was always fascinating to me. But to be honest, that industry was a little heartbreaking at times. It was unstable. There were, some people with egos in the industry. It was really an opportunity to thicken my skin. Um, but then I left that thinking like, okay, I want to figure out what I really want to be when I grow up. So I did dental hygiene as, a well-paying career while I figured it out. But I'm a very creative person. So between patients, I'd be like, what can I do that's like, not as repetitive of just cleaning teeth all day. So I started doing the social media for the dental office, and I was doing pretty well. And the IT guy at the dental office was like, hey, would you be interested in doing social media for some of my other clients that need help? And I was like, sure, I guess so. Well, next thing I know, he's referred me to all of his clients. And I was so new at this. So I'm like, I better learn what I'm doing. So I bought some courses, I joined Facebook groups, and funny enough, I actually was charging more than what I knew was like normal. I would go into these Facebook groups and be like, hey, what are you guys charging to your clients for this? And some like new social media managers like me would be like, charging like $300 a month. And I was like, I'm charging $2,000. Like, whoa, I had no idea. So in my mind, I'm like, if I'm charging this much, I got to deliver like the best quality result ever. So I learned Facebook ads, I learned funnels, I learned YouTube and video and SEO and all this stuff. And then I was doing all of this for my clients. And then I found I was getting the best results from YouTube and video marketing. So I went deeper into that, creating more videos for my clients, putting their content on YouTube, generating leads for them, generating sales directly from YouTube, even with a small audience. And then that's how it grew into today. I just doubled down on all of that. For a while, I was actually flying to clients all over the States, and I'm from Canada, so longer flights for me. I was flying to clients, and we would film like several months of content in a few days. And then when the pandemic happened, it was not as easy for me to travel. So we have a studio now that clients fly to. They come to us and we film their content and manage their whole YouTube channel, generate leads and sales for them through YouTube.
That's amazing. That's crazy journey. I can
Yeah.
imagine like your creativity is definitely there. When we see your video content, it's definitely visible right there. And the part when you said that you charge like $2,000 out of the gate, and the beauty about that is then you didn't like thought about why I charge this so much, and you develop into the mindset of like, okay, now I have to over deliver to these people because they have paid me so much. Right? That was,
Yes.
yeah, I love that part definitely. And being into so many different fields, you said like media, dental, social media marketing, video marketing. Which one did you have the most fun with?
Honestly, I loved social media and video because and it's funny, like you know how they say like as a kid the hobbies that you have as a kid are kind of clues at what your career could be. When I was a kid, I used to steal my dad's video camera and make commercials or make music videos or make like newscasts. Like me and my cousins would sit in front of the camera and report the news of the neighborhood or whatever. And then in high school, I was vlogging before I even knew that that was a thing. Like my friends and I would hang out on the weekends, and I would make like a video, and then at the end of the video, do a recap of here's what we did this weekend for fun. And so then when I got to turn that into a career, like I was so bored as a dental hygienist, like cleaning teeth all day. You can't even really like have a good conversation because your hands are in their mouths, so it's like a one-way conversation. And so I needed that creative outlet. So when I started making videos for myself and then started making videos for my clients, and I mean, I think in any career you're in, like it's so important for you to love who you work with. I loved my clients, even if like one of my first clients was a plumbing company. And I was like, plumbing, that's so boring. Like, what am I going to do? But then as I started to get to know the people at the company and understand why they loved what they did, like these these plumbing technicians, they would like they were so thrilled at the opportunity to help this woman and her leaky sink or help fix this furnace so that they didn't have carbon monoxide. Like I actually like I started to really understand why they loved what they did, or they went the extra mile. They would shovel this old woman's snow when they came to her house. We live in Canada, so there's lots of snow. And I was just like, I love them because they love what they do so much, and people need to know that they don't just hire like Joe Schmo from the phone book. Like they need to hire these people. So that also made me so passionate about the content that I was creating for these people, because I was like, I would be doing a disservice if people just like Google any random instead of going to them.
Exactly. That loves it. And the clue part is definitely there from the younger generation when you mention about the stories that you were making videos. And I can imagine that at that time you didn't know like this thing is gonna turn out into a business for sure. And then obviously we had no clue, but you were doing that stuff. And a lot of time today also, like people try to, I have being personally me as well, we try to sometimes impersonate or mimic other successful people while making videos or even making content. What's Marley's point of views on that stuff?
Yeah, that's interesting because we can certainly see uh the Gary Vaynerchuk wannabes, or like the people that are really they're just regurgitating a lot of other content. And you know what, there's nothing wrong with being inspired by other
Mhm.
people's message and other people's voice. And I think that that is part of finding your own voice, is looking at what you like and what you don't like. Like, there's you might love Gary Vaynerchuk and his like no BS attitude, and you might take that on yourself while also mixed with like, your own genuine attributes. But it's important to like find yourself in that inspiration, not just take on that other cue. So that's been really important to me in like taking inspiration, but also still being unique, and then helping my clients to find that too. Like I think everyone falls into that where they're like, I got to find my voice. I got to find my message. Well, I like this message. And they can like kind of start going for that. And then their own stories along the way is what makes it unique and what takes it from being a regurgitated piece of content to just inspired and then, unique.
Exactly. That definitely makes sense what it is. And being uniqueness when we are talking about it, I know you have a podcast called like the VIP show that you do that. And that is also a unique thing in that VIP and the acronym. For the people who don't know that acronym, what does it stand for? And how did you came up with that acronym instead of just copying somebody else? What was the
Yeah,
inspiration behind it?
VIP means video impact profit. And so I was playing around with this. Like, I wanted to the message and my brand to feel like when you work with me, I will turn you into the celebrity of your industry. And celebrity, VIP, kind of like a synonym there. And then I was like, but how can I make VIP like really, it's more than just being a celebrity? Because I also don't want it to come across that like, there's a lot of broke influencers out there. There's a lot of influencers who are also like fluffy and they don't have a message that stands for something. Like, we want to work with people that they have a strong brand, a powerful message. They're changing the world in their own specific, unique way. So I wanted to be specific about the people that we attract. So the vehicle is video, the intention is impact, and also the other intention and byproduct is also the profit to then be able to reinvest to make more of an impact.
Yeah, that's most powerful. I know sometimes when I was trying to create my company branding, I was like, you get so many confusions. What should I write? There are so many noise out there, and you get confused. Literally, you don't get. And this is something I think which comes with the time as well. Like it's not like at one go you can be lucky and hit the bingo. That's what I felt. And being working with you have more experience with working these all big and small companies, entrepreneurs, the big brands out there. I'm sure that you get people with different, maybe limiting beliefs, different attitude, different psychology. At that point, how do Marley manage to be in a state of mind where you don't take things personally and still finish the project and what you are appointed for?
I totally take things personally. I don't know if it's possible not to. Especially like we as entrepreneurs, it's part of our identity. What we do, our business is part of our identity. So sometimes when people say like, "Oh, it's just business, it's not personal," like it is kind of personal because it's
Mm.
who we are. So when just the same as anybody, if I fail, it hurts, but I also try to have the mindset of like failing forward. The master has failed more times than the beginner has ever even tried. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm still human that when, if something doesn't work out or if there's, mean people online that don't like me, uh, you can learn from it, but also, I'm trying to think of the quote that it's like, I take no credit, I take no blame. Like when I can support someone,
Yeah.
I can help them, but like really it's them doing it. So like I can
Mhm.
help, but I'm not going to take the credit. But also if something doesn't work out, like I'm also not going to take the blame. And so I also think about that personal responsibility for myself and how I show up, that there are people that can steer me the right way and there also can be distractions that steer me the wrong way, but it's all up to how I respond to it.
Yeah, exactly. And you said it very well that mastering the art of failure, that's what people stop themselves. They don't even try a lot of time. Being a coach, also, I sometimes feel like that. I see some people come join the coaching program and they're like, they're not taking action. I was like, why are you not doing it? They're like, I'm having a fear of failure. What would that person say? What would other person say? Like, what would happen if you don't try? Like, nothing is going to
Right.
happen at that point. And a lot of people hesitate to put action because of that. They don't put out content and they're hesitated to put out content when, let's say, if Marley has to give a advice to these people, to a beginner especially, who are hesitant to put out their content, whether it's written content or a video content, what is the best framework for beginner to start it at least?
To get started in creating content?
Yes.
Um, I was thinking more about like when people are saying like, well, I'm scared of failure. And I would also reposition that like sometimes people are more afraid of success than they are of failure because it requires you to step out of your comfort zone. So like when people say, and this kind of comes back to creating content, when people say like, I'm afraid of the camera, it's like, you're not afraid of the camera. You're afraid of stepping out of your comfort zone. You're afraid of judgment. But honestly, like you are thinking of yourself and worried about what other people are going to think. Consider that everyone else is thinking that too. They're worried about what other people are going to think about them. They are thinking about them. So you could be afraid and do it anyway, because what's the consequence of not doing it? Like you said, like what happens if you just don't try? And honestly, like people are so just naturally, like they're focused on themselves, their own journey. And if people do judge you, great, they're not for you. Let them weed themselves out. Like we also talk about in content creation the importance of push pull language. When you have a message that stands for something, it also naturally stands against something else. And there are going to be people that don't agree with that. There are also going to be the people that really strongly agree with you. And the biggest movements have the most polarizing messages. Look at Steve Larson. He talks about capitalism. There are people that don't like that. There are people that have spit on his fans wearing shirts at the gas station because they're like, screw capitalism. But our whole message is about like, get rich on purpose and give back. And like, I very strongly believe in that. If someone says like, no, don't get rich and don't give back, don't help other people, am I going to be like, oh, okay, I want you to like me, so I am not going to get rich and give back to other people? Like, when you really pay attention to like, where are your values and how strongly do you believe in them? Like, that's one of the biggest tests, is if you start to get conflict or just any kind of opposition, how strongly do you believe in your message?
That's so powerful. I can imagine that. And thinking about, like, a lot of time we just think about us, and while other people are also doing the same thing. You said it very right. It's just inside our us that we think how we're gonna look and all that, but other people are also caring about themselves.
They're gonna look.
Nobody,
Yeah.
exactly,
So do
nobody
it
is gonna
anyway.
have that.
Inspire people, please.
Exactly. That's amazing. People who are watching out there, like, who have not put out their content yet, whether it's written or video, it's you should have started by this point. And
And
Marley,
you're
when
always
you
gonna wish that you started 10 years ago. So like, don't waste any more time.
Absolutely. And Marty, when you work with like so many big celebrities out there, as you mentioned a couple of minutes ago, uh, it's definitely there is a difference between real life and real life of these people. What has Marley experienced in that phase of learning or working with those people?
Um, that's such a fun question. I'm like thinking back on all the people that I've met, people that I admired and put on a pedestal, and some that were just as amazing and as I'd ever imagined, and some that showed that, they're human too, and they can have bad days. And I never want to like hold that against them. Like, I've certainly met celebrities that weren't as friendly as others, but instead of being like, oh, they were awful, they were so mean, it's like, they just got off a 12-hour flight and were rushed by paparazzi and felt like they had no privacy, and they were, maybe just wanted to go to sleep. Like, I'm not going to hold it against them. And I'm sure that I have, what I even do know. I met someone once that it was she told me later that the first time that she met me, she thought that I that I didn't want to talk to her. And I remember the moment. It was at the Two Comma Club cruise, and it was the first time that I had like re-entered the public after announcing my divorce. And it was kind of shocking to me when I went into public and saw my friends and my community for the first time, and the reaction that I got. There was a lot of people that were so just amazing and comforting and supportive and loving, but it was also a lot of attention. And I honestly, I disassociated. Like, I was there. It was like the lights are on, but no one's home. So someone could be talking to me. I'd be like, yeah, I'm good. How are you? Yeah, good. So of course, this person talking to me thought that I didn't want to talk to her, but internally, like, I was having a little bit of trauma. And so I was like, I'm so sorry that I came across that way. And I'm so glad that I've had the opportunity to redeem myself and to be able to communicate with you and like, uh, reconnect after that missed opportunity. So that was a big lesson to me, to not judge by the first experience or even like judge at any kind of distance. But another story that's coming to mind, and I usually don't name the person, but I'm going to, because I think people just know how amazing this person is. I had dinner with Bob Saget several years ago, and unfortunately he passed earlier this year, and was like such a shock to the industry. We had done an event with him. We hired him to do stand-up comedy at a local venue. And I had the opportunity to go for dinner with him after, like our, just our group of the people that are the hosts. So it was like 4 of us at dinner, and he you can tell like he's just such an artist. He's always thinking, like, just seeing his surroundings and turning it into comedy. And so he's like writing some tweets on his phone, and he like turns his phone to me. He's like, "Do you think that's funny?" And I read it, and like, when you have a celebrity next to you and someone that's a professional, or sometimes we even just put them on pedestals, I'm like, of course it's funny, like, you're Bob Saget. But he's like, but I'm just not sure about this. Like, are people gonna like, is that too strong, or is that funny, or like maybe I actually need to go a little like further with it. And then I was like, in that moment, oh, he's human. Like, he's asking about content creation the same way that I would, to be like, is this too much? Is this not enough? Like, are people gonna like this? No matter how long he's been in the industry, or how many stages he's been on, or how many shows he's done, like, he still is, self-actualizing and assessing, are people going to like this? Are people going to like me? And I don't know, I've thought about that a lot, and I should probably share that story more, because it was just it was a cool moment to remind me that even the people that we think are ahead of us, or that we put on pedestals, they're human.
That's so relatable. I can literally relate to that. I remember I was asking a question similar like to my VA one time, and that person was like, "Sahil, why are you asking me? You are already an expert in this thing. I'm your VA. You should teach me." I was like, everybody needs a suggestion sometimes, or maybe an outsider point of view, or an audience eye that you need when you're putting out content. I can imagine that was exactly the same thing that he asked you at that time.
Yeah.
Exactly. And as an entrepreneur, Marley, like as you mentioned about that scenario where you came out of the situation, you stood well. Absolutely, your message is out there. People know you. You are well renowned now, and we all go, as an entrepreneur, we all go through these tough times, hurdles, obstacles in our businesses or in our life. What was your motivation during those times? Like, what pushed you through to keep moving forward?
um January 2020 was like one of the hardest but also best times of my life. I had just announced publicly that my marriage had ended. I changed my name, I changed my branding, my entire business. And it was like beginning of January is when I announced that my marriage was ending. And then it was end of January that I spoke at Funnel Hacking Live and stepped on stage in front of 5,000 people. But in the background of that, like before I announced it, I was like, I'm not emotionally ready to announce this, but I also am stepping on this stage soon, and I want my new name. So I had to kind of like dive in before I was ready, which is a theme for entrepreneurs, diving into something even before it feels comfortable. Because if you wait until you're ready, will you actually ever do it? And the internal dialogue in my head too was like, I don't want to be Marley the divorce girl. I don't want all eyes on me because like she's going through something really hard right now, and she's going to be on this stage, and is she going to fall? Is she going to fail? And so I was really intentional about just being real. Like I stepped out into this just vulnerability before I really felt ready. But I also wanted it to be a message of perseverance and being able to do things even when it's still hard, and being real about that. Like Brene Brown talks about, share the scars and not the open wounds, meaning like talk about it after it's healed. And I see the value in that, but I also see the value of talking about things when you're in them, to be like, this is hard, and I know I'm not alone. And for anyone that is also going through this, like, I see you. I think the line is like not talking about it, or not presenting it in a way where it's still like, there's a difference between hot mess and powerful message. Like there's times where it's like you're not tactfully or appropriately ready to present it if you're still like really in the trauma of it. So I think it's like a personal preference or personal decision of like if it's appropriate to speak of the wounds when they're still bleeding. So that time in my life was like, I easily, and of course I had those thoughts considering maybe I should just like quit. Maybe I should just take a back seat. Maybe I should just like do nothing. Um, but then one of the things that I said on stage at Funnel Hacking Live was helping people doesn't stop just because your life isn't perfect. No one's is. And that I've stood by that a lot in other personal challenges and how I've evolved over time too. Like even earlier this year, I was diagnosed with an early stage of cervical cancer. And it was like there was another blow that I didn't see coming and was really challenging to deal with, and that I'm still dealing with, of course. And I did have to take a break. Like I as much as we can say, like, you know, you got to keep showing up for your audience and keep pushing through. I also made the decision of when I can show up honestly and transparently, authentically, and when I would be creating content that isn't real because I don't know how I feel right now. Like when you're going through a certain level of confusion or trauma, there's a lot of power that can come through that. But when you're ready, like I know of the times where I've shown up on social media and in my videos when I didn't have my own self-awareness. And as a result, I look at that content and I'm like, that did not add value. That was like, that came across fake because I was trying to fake it till you make it, like some people would say. But then it would be more valuable for me to take a step back, reassess, and then show up with more authenticity and integrity after giving myself a breather.
Absolutely. That's people are commenting. That's really Marley is really strong. So much inspiration. Exactly. And I literally got goosebumps hearing that, all that stuff. Especially when you said that, like, talk about when the wounds are bleeding. You should show your vulnerable side. Nobody is perfect. As we mentioned, like there is a difference between real life and real life. You can't imagine what's going on in someone's life at the back end while they are doing something on upfront on the camera. It's totally different, and we all go through that stages of life. Have you like what did you discover at that time, Marley? Like what was after you come out of that situation and now it's like you're totally fine with that, and like what was the superpower that you discovered inside you at that time?
Oh, that's such a cool question. When we cope instead of avoid, you come out on the other side just feeling so much more confident and powerful and strong. Um, I know that if I had just avoided and stepped away and um, didn't, yeah, and again, like there's the line between like giving yourself a breather but still having the intention to come back. Um, I think that that's what comes as a result of it, is being like, if I went through that, like if I can overcome that, I can overcome anything. Like you're qualifying yourself, you're in the ring, you're doing those reps, and then it's like the next thing that happens. Like I think Steve talked about this once, that like if you look at who you were like 3 years ago, even 3 months ago, and the stuff that comes at you today, could the you 3 years ago handle that as well as the you today? Like this is just qualifying you for the next challenge. Like when we as entrepreneurs, we are constantly evolving. That's what we've signed up for. So that's another great reminder, and also evidence when you look backwards at all the times you could have quit. And you're like, what would have happened if I would have quit? I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be who I am today. I would be someone else. But am I proud of who I am today? Yes. And I'm going to keep showing up and not quitting the way that I did in the past so that I can be prepared for the next level of evolution that comes.
That's super powerful. Qualifying yourself and giving yourself that belief that if you can come out of this situation, it's totally fine. You can manage the other thing as well. A lot of time people don't come into this stage because they quit so early. I have seen people without putting efforts, not doing anything, and then they quit. Then they obviously most of the time they regret about it. Like I was so close. What if I could have not quit? But that's again a regret that they keep on having, or they have to start from stage one again when they quit all these. There's a question out there. What is your number one advice for young entrepreneurs?
Find a good mentor. Um, invest in yourself. Like I think the only thing that maybe jump started my success, my progress, my growth is that I looked to people who had what I wanted. And instead of me like trying to figure it out on my own, I learned from them. And that can be books, it can be YouTube videos, it could be courses, it could be joining a coaching program or a mentorship program. But like they say that you can't cut corners, but like you kind of can when you learn from the people who have already done it. You don't have to learn by trial and error. I mean, you do have to learn by trial and error, but you can also learn from other people's trial and error and 10x so much faster. When they talk about like self-made millionaires, yes, it's up for you to show up for yourself, but like I do believe that those self-made people also got there by being able to learn from people around them.
Amazing. That's powerful again. Exactly. People who are watching live, they are getting not golden nuggets, it's diamond nuggets, as we always say. Absolutely. Yeah, that's powerful. And this will be my last question, Marty. It's kind of a selfish question for me as well. Basically, like, what is the best and fastest way, if there is any shortcut, or what is your way to get into the doors of these big names and brands? Because you have worked with these people. What do you say? Is there any framework that you follow, or how a person can reach there?
Some of my best relationships have come from like okay, let me give you an example. Alex Sharfin, he was someone that like I absolutely devoured his podcast. Every single episode I like just loved, and I would listen to this and be like, oh, I wish I could be friends with this guy. I want to learn from him. I want to know everything. And so I joined his program. And I actually met him at Funnel Hacking Live first, and there's other people too that like I've never met, but just like I would join their thing or I would get involved in their community. So Alex Sharfin, I met him and I'm like, I am a huge fan. When you have a program, because at the time he only had a program for people that were making more than $1 million. And at that time I was not at that place. So I was like, if you ever have a program for people less than $1 million, like I want to be the first person to join it. And he's like, actually, we're starting one very soon. And I was like, here's my information. I want to be the first person to join it. So sure enough, his team, like a few weeks later, was like, hey, we have this. Are you serious? Do you want to join? I'm like, here's my card. I don't even know what it is. I'm joining. And I showed up. Like I went to every call. I was active in the Facebook group. I was just like an eager student. And that's a really great way to get someone's attention, is by like showing up for them, showing up for their community, and also being a great cheerleader, case study, testimonial. Like I was the poster child for that program for a while, because I was just like, this is amazing. And I say that honestly, like I grew so much from Alex's program, and I was happy to like just share with anyone and everyone how valuable that was. And I think the same thing for ClickFunnels, Russell Brunson. Like I joined Inner Circle. I'd show up for events. I would be very active in the community. And it's like, you know, Russell Brunson isn't always like, it's not someone you can just like message him or send him a box or whatever. But like when you're in a community, you see who the mover and shakers are. You see the people who are leading, who are helping, who are providing support. Like, I mean, I think about that for like any of my programs. If there's someone in there that's like helping the other people and helping, you know, lead the charge or inspire them, like I want to give more to them because they're helping push my movement too. So yeah, like one of the best ways is just to keep showing up for the people that you hope to get their attention, but in a way that like you're giving them value, whether it's directly or indirectly. Another way, last one that I'll share with you, Stu McLaren. He's a Canadian entrepreneur that I really admire. And he has a charity called Village Impact. And I wanted to go on this trip to Africa and build a school and learn more about this charity, and also wanted to know Stu. Like he's an incredible entrepreneur, and love that he's also Canadian. And one of the ways that I kind of became friends with him is I raised $20,000 for Village Impact. And it was kind of a cool story. We raised it in like 24 hours right before Christmas, or right after Christmas. It was like New Year's Eve. And it was like, you know, it was a big flash of money in a short amount of time. And then for him to be able to look at me, and it was also Catherine Jones that we raised this money, got his attention. So we were able to connect with him by supporting him indirectly through his charity.
That's amazing ways, really powerful ways. One of the charity one I got recently, invitation from Two Comma Club winner, and that's what exactly you said. He wanted me to join this movement in some city to build a houses for people. I was like, that's really powerful to
Yeah.
way to connect it. And also you mentioned about like becoming a valuable person in there, invest in them, and then become a valuable person instead of being pitchy. Yeah, I love the video that you made for Russell Brunson at that time for your Content Machine live event. Yesterday
Yes.
I watched it actually, so I was like, that was really impressive way to get someone's attention. And of course,
Yeah.
Russell showed up that time.
Yeah. Well, you can't. So the story is like, I wanted to ask Russell to speak at my event. And I was like, you can't just like text him and be like, hey, Russell, want to speak at my event? He's like, I'm a busy guy. So I was like, what can I do that is a really unique way to ask him, but also like shows that there's a lot of value in it for him too. So I made this video of it was a song that I wrote. Steve Larson's playing the ukulele. Christy Code Red is playing. I don't know, like these shakers. And then Alex Sharfin, who, because these are all the speakers
Video
at the
call.
event too. Alex Sharfin couldn't be there because he's not local with us, but I just had him like make a little video of him kind of dancing, and then so we performed this song, and I like that's how I asked him. I just put it on social media, and I was like, "Hey Russell, I have a question for you," and that video got so much attention that it's like it also shows him my event is going to get this much attention. It's going to help promote you too. We can talk about your book, Traffic Secrets, which was new at the time. So yeah, if you ever have an ask for someone that may need more than just like a nudge or a text, if you can do it in a unique way that is pretty creative, that could really grab their attention.
Absolutely. I was humming that same song whole day yesterday. And I would recommend everyone to watch that video. It's on YouTube. Just type Content Machine live and type Russell and you will find that video. I found
Yeah.
it this way. Yesterday I was doing the research. So you have been so gracious with your time, Marley. Any last thoughts for our buddy entrepreneurs out there?
Oh, well, thank you. I just thank you for having me. This has been such a fun conversation, and I love when we can share really good stories. I think that's a great lesson in creating content is instead of like feeling like you're a teacher standing at the front of the classroom lecturing, how can you share this content through stories? Like, the story I shared about Bob Saget or about when I was, a dental hygienist. Like, that's the things that you remember that still gives you the lesson, but it's through the stories. So keep sharing your stories, create your content, and then share your content with me. I'd love to see how you guys grow in your online presence through sharing your stories.
Absolutely. I'm gonna be dropping out in the show notes your handle, Instagram handle, and if there is any link like people can go and join your program, any maybe a challenge. I think you have a challenge as well that I don't know if it's evergreen or if it's live that you do. If you want to give some more details about that for people to join.
Yeah, the best place to go would be VIPleadmachine.com. It's a training that Steve and I did on how we generate leads through YouTube.
Amazing. I'm going to be dropping that link outside on the show notes again for people who are watching on live or on replay. Thank you so much, Marley, once again. I can't wait enough to meet you at FHL. I'm coming this year once again, and definitely we're going to be gathering over there. All right, people. So that's it for this one, and we'll be coming up with the next. So next time, next week, we are coming back again. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.